Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap the UFC BJJ 10, headlined by Andrew Tackett versus Jonnatas Gracie. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine and co-host,
Corey.
How you doing, Corey?
Good, bro. Sunday.
It is Sunday. We were going to do the ADCC under 66 kilo preview for that division this week, and then we're going to do the women's divisions the following 2 weeks. But UFC BJJ was interesting enough that I went, do I push it, do I not? I was like, no, let's recap UFC BJJ 10 because we have an Andrew Tackett match, we have a Dell match, we have a Wagner match. We have a bunch of people that I would like to talk about and recap their matches. We also have some very interesting particularities with the UFC BJJ, potentially Jay Rodriguez now out of ADCC.
Interesting.
We also have Cassia Geddes is out, Gabby Passan is in, so that does it. I've already introduced this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Making sure. We've kind of skirted, and we're going to do UFC BJJ 10 this week, and then under 66 is going to be next week for ADCC.
Yes,
and
that can take some time to kind of potential matches and some potential connections, and it can get very interesting. So it deserves its time.
We're gonna do because again, 66 is like I don't want to lump them together because like 66 is my people,
That's
Corey,
your people.
my people, the featherweights, the small people in this, and generally it's just like it is the division that typically gets hit the least by changes because it is one of the few that actually gets to like showcase the smaller guys, and so they really make an effort to never to have very few changes and replacements. And then we'll have a show probably before ADCC that is, hey, all these guys and women have changed divisions or dropped out, and here's the replacements. We'll do one final show before all of that. But yeah, man, we are kicking up for ADCC. Most likely this is going to be the first ADCC in 6 or 8 years that I've not been to.
Wow, that's right. It's in Poland, huh?
Yeah, because everything's a little weird. There's some travel advisories and that. So basically, we're just going to do a 3-day ADCC house party.
Awesome.
Is essentially what we're going to do over here. So that'll be fun. I can't wait for that. Big news this week. We have Jay Rodriguez allegedly. So I've got this from two different people. They're saying that he's out of ADCC, and you pulled up the UFC BJJ 11 card.
And he's due to compete.
That he's due to compete.
Yeah.
Was that September 11th or something?
September, something like that, 25th or something like that.
Is it that late? Okay, I thought it was the same weekend as ADCC, which I think would be kind of dumb to do that. But you had it up earlier on that screenshot. So that's kind of the biggest news for a division that we've already previewed. He is in 88 kilos, so now potentially we are losing with him.
September 24th.
Okay, so with him and Bodoni out of 88 kilos, we are losing, our top two guys that are seated. So even wider, even more open than it ever was before for that division. It does kind of screw up our entire preview for 88 kilos, which is typically why we don't do them so far in advance. But,
someone always gets hurt.
Yeah, but it's like we talked about J-Rod for 10% of that episode probably in total. Now it's just doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter now.
That episode now exists in a framework of time when J-Rod was still in, but again, he's going to get paid in UFC. I'm kind of I'm very much on the fence with the way the sport is going, but UFC is having more frequent cards. They're having interesting matchups. They're having a lot of blowout matchups, but they're having interesting matchups, and they're paying guys. So it's like half of me is torn because I want to see the best guys in every tournament.
Yep.
Other half is torn because, you're paying guys as professional competitors. So
and people that seem to be part of that promotion seem to be happy. They talk a lot about the facilities, rehabbing.
Yeah, we're not hearing a whole lot of negative coming from a lot of the guys that are under those.
The money seems right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even if the contracts are really, really restrictive, which they seem like they are, it seems like everyone's sort of very willingly taking that.
Yeah.
Again, this was the least viewed event that they've had so far, so we'll see how long that runs. Allegedly, it is just hemorrhaging money. But again, in the first couple of years, when you're trying to figure out a market,
it's kind of the way things are sometimes.
It wouldn't surprise me that would be the case. And again, they're trying to make jiu-jitsu a spectator sport, and many folks ahead of them have not been successful in that. So
and to put BJJ on the map with a lot of casual watchers or just laymen out there.
Yeah.
UFC is probably one of the best platforms to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
For all my issues I have with UFC, but as far as getting visibility in the sport, I think is great.
Yeah, it's the biggest combat sports promotion in the world. Like I'm kind of happy that they have jiu-jitsu. At least
so if they can't, if it has become very popular with UFC back in it, it might just stay a niche sport.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
Look,
that.
man, if a generation of grapplers can get the bag from it and take it from the UFC, I'm not that mad about it. So let's talk about the welterweight championship. This will be Andrew Tackett's fourth defense of the welterweight title.
It's like Dylan, Andrew.
Essentially, man. Rear naked chokes Jonnatas Gracie in the first round.
And that's basically it.
One-way traffic, man.
That's basically it.
Like, dude. So we'll talk about the call-outs that he made, because Andrew Tackett, for once, we have a champion in a matchup, winning, and then actually like having a list of guys that he went through. So that's very nice. But let's talk about the matchup. Jonnatas Gracie is very good.
Very good.
He
very good.
Was quickly overwhelmed by Andrew Tackett. And again, not overwhelmed in the same sense of like gave up, but in just, you saw Jonnatas Gracie from the jump. He goes to jump guard, and then Andrew Tackett spears him into the side of the bowl. And I went, ooh, Andrew Tackett is coming. And then immediately starts putting his hand over his face.
Yes.
And I went, oh yeah, Andrew Tackett this is the speed that we've talked about from Andrew Tackett, like really enjoying, is he is not a guy that tends to come out and feel you out for a long period of time.
No.
And
he's hitting the gas. He's hitting the gas.
Yeah,
he's
the interesting thing about his game, though, is that like a lot of guys that come out, they're known for coming out super, super aggressive. It is like, not like fake aggression, but you can tell like they're really trying to impose and show you that they can.
You're trying to match that pace.
Yeah, Tackett kind of seems to do it just because like he knows that he can run that pace the entire time, and he knows that he can just overwhelm you from the jump, both technically and physically.
Correct.
And he just doesn't have to start slow. He can start at this pace, and it is just an effective way to operate because he is so good. And that was really like Jonnatas Gracie immediately starts kind of trying to go for the legs, and Tackett starts to pass. And I was like, okay, this is good. Jonnatas Gracie, to his credit, man, has 4 or 5 pretty decent attempts into the inverted knee bar.
Yep.
A la Oliver Taza, a la Elizabeth Clay, like very, very similar entry. He gets up on his hip. Kind of looks like very similar to the knee bar that Charles Negromonte hits over Isaac Michel. Like that inverted knee bar off of the shoulder. Tackett is just consistently dipping the knee up, preventing it from being straight for Jonnatas Gracie. And Jonnatas Gracie is never in a position to start actually like getting his hips over Andrew Tackett's hips to knock him over.
Right.
And he just consistently like goes for it. Tackett fights out. And you can hear William in the corner of Andrew Tackett like talking about how to like set the 50-50 up and like walking
him through it.
Andrew through exactly sort of how he wants to play the sequence. And it's like, I don't know how much Andrew's listening to him, but you can just hear the calmness of the corner of Tackett, walking him through, like, hey, go here, yeah, put your foot there. Like, it's just very
controlled, very just measured.
Yeah, measured is the right way. I was going to say run of the mill, but yeah, measured is a better way to put that. It's just, you can tell that Tackett is not like, he's not, I'm missing the word here, overconfident. He has the right amount of confidence where it's like, I'm not really that worried about this. Yeah. I'm going to defend to the. He doesn't over defend anything
because he's very used to a game like that. He sees that game every day.
You brought this up on the pre-show, and you take the credit for it because I think it was a great take.
Well, that being said, I thought about it. I'm like, Jonnatas Gracie's game is very similar to William Tackett's. Very controlled, very measured, very technical. He can get physical, they drop off a dime, but he's really just really controlled and measured, and that's his game. Pressure, constantly moving forward, but just really subliminal with his movements. You can tell there's some thought behind it. He doesn't rush any moves, but just slow and measured and controlled. So that being the case, Tackett's used to seeing it every day and with his brother in the gym.
Yeah, the parallel
he's just used to it.
Parallel I thought was really, really good, and I kind of missed it. I was like, why is he just so effective here? It's like, oh yeah, because Gracie, like the style of game that Gracie wants to play is very much like William Tackett's game.
Yeah.
It's just like he can go into the legs. He's very good in the legs.
Yep.
William uses some of the same entries there.
And that's why William's walking through the process of how to work around.
Yeah, man.
That's his game. We're pretty close to it.
The thing that was like really interesting here, thinking about it a little bit more, was I said it a second ago, but Andrew Tackett he never needed to over defend something.
No.
Like a lot of times you'll see, especially like if you watch guys fight Mikey Musumeci or Jalen Fanase on this card. We saw Maurice Ramirez. Like not over defending, but feeling the need to completely disengage out of someone's entry into the legs or arms or positionally and like cause a reset. I never saw Andrew Tackett in this match from the entirety of the first round till he gets the finish. He is defending the minimal amount that he needs to keep the contact and to keep the sequence going.
It's like he's defending in the pocket. He's where he should be. He doesn't want to totally disengage because that's going to pretty much almost reset the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's defending to the point where that attack's no longer a threat, and he can kind of put his game forward.
The most interesting thing here was he gets out of one leg lock attempt, and then he immediately tries to like hop over into mount using like the really like old school Andre Regal hop to mount.
Yeah.
And so Jonnatas Gracie's credit, you see Gracie like actually flare his knees out in like a weird like on his back butterfly, not even a butterfly guard, like a kind of a butterfly guard, and prevent Tackett from getting his feet all the way through. And then you see Tackett have to like back out and like defend another leg lock and come through. And then because Tackett never over defends anything, in the finishing sequence when Jonnatas Gracie is going for the knee bar, then pops it down to the heel hook and the straight ankle lock, you can have Andrew Tackett be in the range with his hips close enough to Jonnatas Gracie to shuck and get behind his back there, whereas a lot of guys that aren't as good, like it's a classic back take. It's the back take that we saw Felipe Pena hit Gordon Ryan with, like 2017, like or 2016, all those years ago at Studio 540. Like very, very similar of like, you have a guy that is on the bottom really aggressively going for your legs. If you are really confident in your defense, you don't have to make a full disengagement. You can sort of counter and get behind them to get their back. And it's exactly what Andrew Tackett does. He sort of sits in the bear trap for a second at 2 points in this match, and then he kind of sits for a second in the calf slicer on Jonnatas Gracie. But you can see that he's turned his knee down and got his hips out enough where it's like Jonnatas Gracie will never be able to make the run up to get his back to actually have the calf slicer be effective.
That makes
and
sense.
then you have Andrew Tackett get behind him, muffler, and then immediately into the hand fight. You have Jonnatas Gracie like grab his fingers once, but to Tackett's credit, he just like resets the hand. He's so deep in the rear naked choke grip across the face, like under the, sort of across the chin.
Everything about the neck's the neck.
Yeah. He's so good with that grip that even when Jonnatas Gracie does a good job, like peels the not the set hand, the locking hand, the secondary hand, he peels that off and kind of Andrew Tackett goes, I just grab my fingers, pulls it off. Andrew Tackett doesn't have to adjust his initial set grip at all, and can just immediately come down, pops it back through, and just gets the squeeze. And you can tell that Tackett is just gone.
You saw his face; he was just he was just really squeezing his ass off, trying to break his face. I guess. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you're in a title fight, man.
You're in
like,
title fight, and
makes
you're pro.
sense.
Yeah, everything about neck to neck. So,
but it was just again, it was another just really, really technically and like pace wise impressive performance from Andrew Tackett. But again, Jonnatas Gracie's no slouch. Like he has his fair share of like wins and losses, but I don't recall the last time we've ever seen someone, if we've ever seen someone like run through Jonnatas Gracie like this.
No, because
Like,
Gracie gives people problems. He's
just kind of slower.
He's good enough. He's just really good. Even though he's just really good, man. And you never really see this happen, but
you see him get beat.
Yeah,
but not frequently, and also
not like that.
Not like this ever.
No.
I could be wrong, but I can't think of another like relatively one-sided quick matchup that Gracie has like dropped that wasn't under like weird circumstances.
I will say though, I thought this match would have lasted longer because the videos prior to the match, you hear Tackett saying he was gonna break his arm and all this kind of. I was like, whoa. Tackett's talking that, you know what? And then Gracie was like, oh, I'm gonna beat him tonight. And it just sounded like, Gracie was about that life and he was about the smoke. He wanted it, and it was going to be like at least a 2-round fight. I anticipated going more than 1 round.
Yeah. Again, I like that Tackett gets that out quick though. Like,
and they touched on his story. Like at 11, he left his parents. He left home at 11 years old. Gracie did.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So apparently he had a
rough
upbringing. So it's like I get it. So it was that much more motivation. Now he's trying to find a home with UFC, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be a hell of a fight. So yeah, he ran into the Andrew Tackett buzzsaw though. So it's kind of one of the deals. What do you do?
Tackett wins. He gets the interview after. Do you have anything from a technical perspective to talk about this? Anything I missed?
No.
He gets the interview at the end, and fuck, man, this is what all athletes should do. You think you're gonna win?
Both barrels are loaded, man.
When they're gonna ask you, as an interviewer, I've done on the mat interviews at pro events. I've done like interviews with athletes. Have an idea of who you want to face in your division or out of your division that makes sense. If you are a professional grappler or a professional fighter,
Don't just say who is next.
have an idea of who you want. Andrew Tackett has an idea of who we want to see him face, and he called them out. He called it Mika Galvão.
Yep.
The storyline for that is great. Who's number one? They were in the welterweight bracket in the tournament. Andrew gets injured in the first round after blowing through PJ Barch, so he can't fight Mika Galvão. It's the match we've wanted for years since that matchup.
And Mika ended up fighting PJ and then beats him fairly handily because we thought PJ might have been a little hurt.
I think PJ got knocked out a little bit in that match. It was like a weird night for PJ because like we've never seen PJ
Get beat quite like that.
beat like Tackett beat him, and then he gets knocked out a little bit, and then has to fight Mika Galvão, like while he is very clearly concussed after like the 30-second mark in that match. So it's like it's one of those where it's like I feel bad for Barch because it is like his performance on that night is not an appropriate showing of how good he is, but it is for like how good Mika and Tackett are because no one's ever done that before or since to Barch.
Correct.
That's a matchup that makes sense. Like the Mika Galvão matchup is that white whale matchup for Andrew Tackett that we've always wanted to see.
Yep. It's
There
got
are
to happen.
so many reasons for it to take place.
It's got to happen.
He also calls out the Rotolo brothers.
Yep.
He's had matches against, I thought it was Cade twice, but it might have been Ty early career at Jits King, and then
Well, he had said once before that he probably competed. I want to say like 5 or 6 times his whole life with them back to when they were children. So they competed.
Yeah,
they've done. And he said he's always lost, and he wants to beat them, and he knows he can. I think that's after his last fight, but he's been competing against them since they were children. So he called out either or of the Rotolos,
which I think we're never going to see that matchup again because they're in one.
We'll see.
They're in one. They're under contract in one.
How much longer would they be there though? That's the
That
question.
is but also I think they're both making the transition over to MMA. I think MMA is absolutely long term going to pay better.
Sure.
Than, especially if you're a face and you're a champ, you're going towards a title. I think that we've unfortunately seen most of what we're going to see from the Rotolos in jiu-jitsu, and like we've seen it time and time again. Like they may come back.
Yeah.
They may have matches here and there that come back, and this is a match that they could come back for. But I think that we most likely we've seen the Andrew Tackett matches versus the Rotolos that we're going to see. We did get the best match of all time ever out of it at CJI. So it's like I can't be too mad, but it's another matchup that makes sense. Again, you look at that, it is the de facto match that we point to. It's like, hey man, you want to see the best grappling match that's ever happened with the highest stakes?
Yep.
This is the match. It's also the semifinals. That is the matchup to go and watch. It's again a matchup to make. I just think with the one championship contract that the Rotolos are under, one champion also seems to be taking care of them quite well.
Yeah.
Which they have and have not done with other grapplers before. One is under a lot of heat, not infrequently, because people are pretty upset with their contracts and not getting fights. So it's like, again, Gary's gone now. Bouchesha's out of there. Like, there's a lot of guys that were in one that were
wonder how much
unhappy with one.
With the Rotolos.
So it could happen.
Could happen.
But again, it's a great matchup. The first matchup was the best match of all time that we've seen in jiu-jitsu. I want to see it again.
Yes,
I want to see those guys fight, 2-3 times a year forever. Like they're phenomenally well matched. Him and Cade, and honestly, him and Ty would be a really interesting matchup as well. Because I think Ty can probably make 170 with the right paycheck. Him and his brother are the same weight.
Which is crazy because for many years, Cade was like the smaller of the two.
Yeah.
At least for a while there. I'm like, wow, all of a sudden Cade just like blew up. I'm like, wow, he might be bigger than Ty now. What's going on here?
It'll be again, it's a really interesting matchup. And the other one he called out
Joseph Chen.
He called out Joseph Chen. This is a matchup that I think that we could see.
And I think that could give him some trouble.
I think that Chen's big.
He's gotten bigger too. He's gotten a lot bigger.
Gotten a lot bigger.
Yes, he has.
I think the cut will honestly be a little hard for him to get down there, but again, you can make it for a championship fight. I'm curious how Chen looks at ADCC, but Joseph Chen is a matchup that I would be really, really excited to see because the guard work is interesting. The pacing is good. His passing
is phenomenal.
I'm curious about like the speed that Andrew will bring, how Chen will deal with that because Chen isn't an incredibly fast guy.
Right.
But he doesn't really need it with the way he structured his game. But I'm just curious. That's the one thing that I'm more curious than anything about how those two guys would line up. But again, I'm a huge fan of Joseph Chen. I think the matchup between him and Andrew Tackett is the most realistic matchup that we could see.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would be hard-pressed to bring in Chen for an immediate title fight, given how the UFC usually does things. I think it would be a very warranted immediate title fight. I think it'd be fine to do so, but I think it would be a little out of character for them to bring in a guy out of another promotion or out of no promotion for an immediate title fight.
But then again, he called out the winner of ADC 77, so whoever wins that. He's like
any of those matchups.
He said anybody can get it.
Any of those matchups make a lot of sense.
But then he said, you know what? Scratch that. He wants to go get someone with some balls, and that's why he called out some of the MMA guys. He called out Sean Brady and
Paddy
Pimblett. And I'm
both
just
of those are actually.
Holy crap!
I don't really care about the Sean Brady matchup. It's like it's interesting for different reasons, but it's like not Brady is not. He has that weird win over Craig Jones, but not in a way that anyone really cared. Other ADCC news. You know who might be in ADCC now?
Oh, this is new to me.
Craig Jones.
Get the F out of here. Are you kidding me?
He made a post with him naked in the bathroom as per usual for some reason, with his butt in the shot, then saying, Craig potentially coming back. Because now if J-Rod's out, there's a slot open at 88, which is historically where he has been at.
But with all that bad blood.
Yeah, different promoter. Mo's not running it. The bad blood was mostly, not mostly between, but it was the payment. It would be interesting. It would be a wild.
You would get viewers on viewers just because Craig Jones.
It's Craig Jones. Yeah, it would be a really interesting. I don't know if he's trolling because we never know with Craig, but it is just very, very interesting that he could potentially be the guy at 88. If he's the guy at 88, then potentially he's back,
If he's a guy at 88
for one more,
and he actually trains for this, that would be
another silver medal, man.
Interesting.
Could be there.
That would be
so
interesting.
That was again big news that we forgot about this week.
Okay.
Who knows if that's real or not? But it is a very interesting. There is a slot potentially for him to fill there in that division.
Wow.
So,
okay. Hope it's true.
Of those two MMA fighters, Sean Brady is not that interesting for me as a matchup. It would be as a cross promotional thing, kind of interesting. But Paddy Pimblett with that recent Peruvian Darce setup that he had, and everyone's been talking about that. And honestly, Tackett calls out that exact match.
Yes, he does.
I think Andrew Tackett can probably blow through him, but Pimblett is an interesting enough grappler.
He'd make it interesting.
Yeah. I think Tackett
draw a lot of eyes to UFC BJJ.
I think it would do. It's a matchup that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But again, they're guys that are doing very different sports. But Pimblett's primarily a grappler, so it's an interesting matchup enough where it's I'm less mad about that than I am Bryce Mitchell versus Mikey. The Pimblett matchup makes a lot more sense and is a lot more interesting to me than the Bryce Mitchell matchup. But again, Andrew Tackett did what you're supposed to do as a champion. When you're hey, who do you want to face next? I want to face this guy. We've talked about it for minutes now. All of these matchups have interesting, compelling reasons why they should be made. Now UFC has the tape. They have the footage. They can go to the guys. Guys can make their own videos because they got called out. And the whole ecosystem of fight management and fight interest and hype keeps going when you have a champion definitively win a title and then call out people that we want to see him face. So, of all those, who's the one you want to see the most? Barring anything, what one do you want to see the most?
I would say, I would say Mika.
Yeah.
But then I haven't seen Mika. Has he competed lately?
Not really.
I want to see Prime Mika.
That's what there. Yeah, I was pending Amazon Prime. I want to see Prime. The Prime Mika matchup was the one we never got.
Yeah.
That I want to see because we never saw it. That's it's just I need to see that matchup. And these guys are still both relatively young, relatively on the rise and in their prime.
Yep.
That's the one I want to see.
And then after that, I probably want to see.
I want to see the Chen matchup.
I do want to see the Chen
just
matchup as well.
because I think stylistically it's really interesting, and I've seen the Rotolo matchups before. There's a reason for that, but I have seen them. I would like to see the Chen matchup because I just think stylistically it's really interesting.
I think and Chen he's another one that's very measured, but his game is so fluid. It's so fluid, and then until it's not, he is fluid. Then he pings, right? He goes, he makes a move. So he's quick. He's gotten bigger. He's probably just as quick as he was before, and he's very, very technical.
Yeah,
and he's training at a B team room, which is probably one of the deepest rooms.
Is he at B team now again? Or
he was. He's
yeah. I think he's back he's in Shanghai now.
But I mean, seeing all that and just I don't know. I think he's he's seen a little bit about what Tackett brings, just based on the room he trains in.
Yeah, I mean, they were both in Austin, Texas. They were both in Austin, Texas together.
So,
they ran each other. So, yeah. So
that would be my second. That would be my number 2. And after that, obviously Rutolos. But I wouldn't be upset if they can make any of those four matches.
Yeah, all of them make a lot of sense.
They all
Again,
make sense to me.
call out your people. So
Exactly.
that's the welterweight. Anything else on Andrew Tackett versus Jonnatas Gracie?
No.
All right, let's move on and talk about the Women's Featherweight Championship. Brianna Ste-Marie defeats Rebeca Lima by second round head and arm choke.
Wow.
A little bit of not really a come from behind victory, but that first round was close.
It was a close round.
Rebecca Lima is just more active on her back.
Yeah.
She is putting Brianna Ste-Marie in
Interesting positions.
She is forcing Brianna to get out of passing positions where it's like she goes to X guard a couple of times. She goes to X. She
forces to defend a little bit.
Yeah, she's forcing Brianna Ste-Marie to try to pass through the guard and she's not able to get a whole lot of offense off. Brianna Ste-Marie does throw up a nice, I think a nice heel hook ankle lock at the end that I honestly did think was a little closer than the commentary kind of talked about. I think the commentary for this event was not the worst that we've seen, but
definitely not the best.
Definitely, again, still UFC needs to get guys that are actual grapplers and not retired MMA fighters.
And I was surprised that Hanato wasn't back for this one because he had
Hanato's a commentator. He's a little hard to understand sometimes, but I think he's really, really good. There was just, again, with always, I honestly, we've talked about it before. The commentators don't really understand modern jiu-jitsu, and it's very, very obvious when they talk about it. You can hear the way that they're talking about, you have a note on it. They're always talking about the person on top. They have this love for the person on top winning. It's hey guys, this is not MMA.
Yeah.
Being on top is not really that important in professional grappling in the landscape. What they are doing, you can absolutely be imposing on top.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
You can absolutely also be winning on the bottom. If nothing's happening, then usually the person on the top is gonna get the nod. If you're fighting for nothing,
this is almost a quote. I don't know. He said, "You don't positionally dominate from the bottom. You only throw submissions. You only attack submissions from the bottom." I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Really?
That's a guy that's only fought MMA.
I'm not a world beater brown belt. I'm okay, but I know that you can dominate from the bottom. That's my game. Yeah. That's my entire game. So when he said that, I kind of almost shut down.
Hey man, you ever seen a Mikey Musumeci match?
Yeah,
that is a gentleman
right?
that tends to dominate from the bottom if given his ability to do so. So you ever seen Adele Florinarino? We'll talk about her in a little bit. Tends to dominate from the bottom when she gets there.
From the bottom. It blew my mind when he said that. So I'm just like, okay, well I got to take some of what they're all saying with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it was again. It's just they have every card. They have some weird talking point take that they will make that makes you just go, all right, you guys don't watch jiu-jitsu.
And there was a second one that Dean Thomas had made about the whole
Dean is famous for him.
I forget who it was. I don't know if it was a Cassia Moura match, whatever it was.
It was a Cassia Moura match.
Cassia Moura had her back, and he was like, well, the first thing you need to do, the only thing you need to worry about is getting your back to the mat. And I'm like, you might want to try to get out the choke first. You might want to address the choking arm first before you even try to do that. But so when he said that, I kind of sat back a little bit and just kind of realized, okay, he's not really a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah, or he's just jiu-jitsu for MMA.
It's whatever.
Which is a different the sports are not the same sport anymore. They haven't really been the same sport in about 10 years.
Yeah.
10, 15 years at this point. Same way gi and no-gi are very much sort of becoming different sports now. It's there's
definitely diverging, yeah.
What works in no-gi necessarily doesn't work in the gi. What works in the gi doesn't necessarily work. They're different sports. MMA is now a different sport, and so I want them to get off the kind of having black belts in MMA, get people that actually understand, get Kendall in here, she's someone that really got to get Gordon, guys that really understand the sport that these guys are doing to talk about it. Cause Dean, Chiesa, they're very good grapplers, phenomenal championship level MMA fighters.
But it's different when
they don't understand
high level grappling.
Yeah, it's very obviously do not understand a lot of what they are seeing from a strategic or a tactical perspective.
Because it's a different thing. MMA.
Yeah, they're making these weird. They make very, very weird tactical takes on the mic, which is just baffling to me. It's that is,
and I know they make
kind of wrong take,
and they made references to the promotion and to this whatever, and I'm I understand for this promotion and its rules and how they judge what's dominant and what's not, but still, basic grappling, you need to do X, A, B, C.
Yeah.
Not necessarily D and then A and then whatever. So it's a thing. So whatever. I'm not going to knock them. I'm sure they kick my ass if we
I'm
grapple.
not knock them. It's bad commentary. We've talked
But
about
at
it
the
since the
same-
beginning. You
but
got
at
to
the
get better.
same-
You got to get better commentary.
But comparing their
because you're-
commentating to someone else, like, I don't know if you listen to IBJJF Worlds or anything else like that, or even ADCC, you see a huge just drop off in just
the level of quality
of
is just
commentation.
phenomenal on like IBJJF or on like ADCC, where it's like guys that know and are experts in professional grappling are commentating those matches, and it's a very, very stark difference in quality and understanding of what you're watching. So
it is.
In this match, let's talk about the second round. I really just want to talk about the finish for this one. It was really interesting that you saw the first round like probably goes Rebeca Lima's way. And then in the second round, you saw Brianna Ste-Marie. Very similar strategy, but seemed to have Rebeca Lima's timing a little more. Wasn't getting as extended. Wasn't letting Rebeca Lima like completely get her into like an X guard or pull the foot on the hip. And you saw Brianna Ste-Marie like work, push down. Eventually, she gets down to the collapsed half guard, like a low half guard. And let's see. Okay. Where's she going to the gym? And you see her get down to like a collapsed half guard, and you see her like throw a really heavy crossface like choking arm in, and then you see her drop her head all the way, which is really funny in half guard, and it's something this Brianna Ste-Marie does.
That's her goal. That's her thing.
She basically works a head and arm choke starting from topside half guard. And
she must have chest connection, and then she's off to the races. Yeah,
she's really, really strong. And she does something really interesting here with her. She has your hand under the head, and she has her head blocking your arm on the other side. And then with her arm that is free, that is on the opposite side of where her body is trapped in the half guard, she will like have a weird like flare. And I think she's doing that to stop any sort of bridge happening on that side, to put a little more weight, a little more kickstand.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting thing, because when I was watching this, the big thing that I was struck by was how flat Rebeca Lima was the entire time.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, Rebeca Lima knows to get out of this, she has to make an angle. If you make too much of an angle, you give your back up, but it's like...
She didn't move.
She was just stuck there. And I was like, what is Brianna Ste-Marie doing on top here that is... Rebeca Lima, like, you know what Brianna Ste-Marie does. She's very, very good at this choke. It is just so interesting to watch Rebeca Lima be unable to, like, make any sort of bridge, make any sort of shoulders off the mat, like, be able to free that arm, just sort of get stuck there. And then as soon as Brianna Ste-Marie, she kind of flattens her out. She gets the hand position, gets the head position in, and then you see her flop, like kind of, not flop pass, but like double knee slide over the guard and immediately hop to their side, and then Rebeca Lima is immediately tapping. It was
actually, and she didn't even get all the way over. She just dropped her right hip. She didn't get all the way over.
She was
which is amazing, because then she actually tried to answer the phone to try to relieve some of that pressure. But I mean, I'm pretty good at the head arm triangle. That's not going to alleviate that pressure once she has it locked in. But it didn't seem that tight to me, but it must have been hella tight. Because she tapped, and I'm just like, and then off of that, she's holding her ribs, right?
Yep, that's
interesting. But that must have been a hell of a squeeze for her to not even fully get over, just to drop her right hip to the ground, and she's tapping. I'm like, holy shit. We're seeing
more and more people finish this from mount.
Yeah,
like again, 10 years ago, it was not a thing people ever did to finish from out. Like you never unless it was like a huge different gap of skill. Now we're seeing it sort of come to the meta of like a lot of people that are good at head and arm can easily finish from out now. And so again, it is mechanically easier to finish once you're on the cross side.
Yes, sir.
But the squeeze that people have from that mount now in the head and arm, again, it's been wild to watch that technique sort of develop, and you can see it here with Brianna Ste-Marie. She gets it done. She is the featherweight champion now. Didn't have anyone to call out.
She said she'd take a couple months off. I think she wants to see who wins ADCC, but she wants to hang out with her husband. Her boyfriend and her family.
Because Johnny has ADCC coming up, like that makes sense. But like, man, call someone out. Give me some, like, you just won the champion. You just won the title. You took it from Rebeca Lima. Give me something that you want to face.
I think she was just happy just to be back in the ring. I think she had a car accident, right? Didn't she come back from a car accident?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Have someone that you want to call out, because then it's like, I'll either go like, that's a weird call out, or it's like, cool, that's a good call out. But it gives me something to think about for when the next time I see you defend your title.
Sure.
So now, like, if Andrew Tackett doesn't get one of the 5 guys he called out, I'll be like, why didn't they do it? It gives another talk, but gives me another thought. It gets me thinking about that guy and his matchups.
Like, why
versus
aren't they
Brianna Ste-Marie, it's just like, whoever they put in front of her, you're like, okay, this is just a matchup that is a world-class level woman. Okay. But that's all I got for that. Again, Brianna Ste-Marie looked phenomenal after the first round. Second round was very dominant. And she is now the champion at featherweight. Let's talk about the women's flyweight tournament. We had Cassia Moura versus Bre Stikk in this one, and we had Adele Fornerino versus Carol Bernasio. We are going to see Adele Fornerino versus Cassia Moura. I think we talked about this on the show a couple of months ago. When this tournament first got announced, we were like, cool, so we're going to see Cassia Moura versus Adele Fornerino.
And 2 other people.
And that was correct, and that's the matchup we're going to see. Cassia Moura, again, commentary was very funny here. They were talking about, again, I'm going to talk about this as like on the framework of how the commentary talked about it, taking nothing away from like the accolades that Bre Stikk has and her pedigree. It was just very funny to have the commentary talk about like Bre Stikk and her wrestling, and basically like be dismissive of Cassia Moura's ability to take anyone down. Yes. And they're like, Bre Stikk and her wrestling.
In the camp that she comes from, because she trains
with
Rebeca
Bastos
Lima.
and all those folks.
Yeah,
and then
a pretty good wrestler. So
they were like, yeah, she's not going to take it out. And then Cassia Moura immediately, like while they are saying it, as the round starts, immediately. The first one that one wasn't the first one. It was like
the arm drag was the first one.
Arm drag was the first one.
Yeah.
Again, Cassia Moura is so good at that.
And
we
it's
saw her
like
do it versus
quick.
Fionn.
Boom.
And then immediately takes Bre Stikk down. It was like, okay, well, that's this. We knew this was going to be a really tough matchup for Bre going into this, because wrestling pedigree was the primary tool that she brought to the table.
Yep.
And if Cassia Moura can leverage like the skills that she brings in the wrestling down and get it to the mat so quickly, it was like, you're really going to struggle with Moura on the ground.
It was what, like 12, 13-year age discrepancy there, a gap? I think.
Was it that big?
I think Stikk was like 33, I think.
Oh, I didn't. I missed that completely. I didn't realize. I didn't realize
that's another
that.
factor, I think.
Oh, yeah, Moura is really young, isn't she?
Yeah, she's like 19, 20.
Okay. And then very quickly, again, I liked that Cassia Moura, again, on the second takedown, she gets that duck under that she's very, very good at, gets to the back. And then what I liked from Moura here was, she kept pacing the entire time.
Yeah.
We had to listen to commentary, which was unfortunate. But Moura's like going for the rear naked choke. And then what I liked is that she didn't just sit there for the whole round.
Right, and sit
going
in
for the
maintain
naked
position.
choke.
Correct, she went for the sub.
You saw her like fight rear naked choke for a respectable amount of time. Not getting it. It was like Bre Stikk was giving her a consistency of defense, was blocking the hands properly. It was like, cool, there is not going to be an easy avenue for you to figure out. And Bre is only going to figure out your timing for how you want this choke over and over again. Usually people on the back, and for a protracted amount of time, we don't see a late rear naked choke. It's like you kind of figure it out. Both guys kind of figure out how you fight.
Correct.
And then
somebody tries to get out a little bit, or someone else, the guy who was the person who wasn't back, they'll end up taking mount or wherever, depending on how the thing goes. But
and then we saw Cassia Moura realize that it was like, cool, we're gonna get in this fight.
Yeah.
Overhook or underhook the arm, and then immediately throw over and get the armbar. And it was just a very nice. I watched it a couple of times.
It woke me up. Yeah.
It was. It was.
She flashed it, and I'm like, wow, that was impressive.
Yeah, it was a really, really.
And then you see Bre trying to hitchhike her out of it.
She tries like really briefly, but
no, it wasn't happening.
And then you see Cassia Moura, like you saw the flexion on the arm, and I was like, ooh, that is a lot of hyperextension on the arm.
And I think it hurt her arm, because immediately afterwards you can see the arm just hanging there.
I can
and
imagine.
She was holding it right before they announced the winner, and she was kind of standing right next to her. I was like, ooh, that arm is hurting.
It was way hyperextended. But again, unfortunately, like with the not unfortunately, like Cassia Moura was the person that they were setting up to be able to move on in this matchup. Yeah. Adele Fornerino takes on. Do you have anything else on that matchup between Cassia and Bre?
No, it was just very impressive. I mean, it's kind of what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Nothing to take away from Bre Stikk, but Cassia Moura is just a force of nature.
Very, very hard.
She's a force of nature, man. She's young.
Adele Fornerino versus Carol Bernasio.
Yeah.
This was really fun. This was, I think, we've kind of complained about Adele's pacing recently in the last couple of years of like when she's on, she looks really good, but sometimes she can kind of like in all the fan matches, she can kind of let the match slip away from her because she's so good that she can get the finish at any time, and she's so good everywhere that sometimes she sort of like waits for her opportunity and like won't take a lot of risk because she knows that she can sort of just pull it out. Like I can't really speak to the mentality of why she fights that way, but that would be my guess as to like she is so good that she knows that she can get it done, and so she doesn't necessarily have the onus to like really try to put a stamp on something quickly.
Right.
And sometimes the match is going to be a little bit closer than they need to be.
Yeah.
That was not the case here at all. Adele comes out aggressive and just immediately into the legs of Carol.
Yeah.
And then over and over, it is just Adele fighting down, and Carol like defending and defending and defending, and Carol trying to throw up her own leg locks, but Adele just throwing over. And what I love that Adele does here repeatedly is she does, when she grabs a leg, she will do kind of similar to what Mikey does. And she doesn't try to like just pinch her knees together when she does it. She will actually actively like throw her knee and leg over the leg for either that low ankle lock or for just the inside control of the leg or the outside control of the leg. Like she very consistently will like whip the hip and leg all the way through and over. And more so than not, you see her getting inside of the hip line on the opposite, on like the outside leg into like that reaping position like all the time, because she doesn't try to get knee control first.
Correct.
She grabs foot control. She's so confident with that foot control, and then she's like whipping the leg over. And I think what we saw the finish here is she does that
with just that, right? Because she had the foot over past the hip. She did not have knee control, but that grip, the grip on the ankle was just tremendous.
And she's able to whip the leg,
and she hipped into a big time bridge into it. So
she whips the leg over, and then she can just hip through, because you now have to like re-square. You roll to your back, or if it's belly down or tripoded, you have to like roll out. And even if she doesn't have knee control, she is so far away from you when she's going for the ankle lock that you can't like start to grab her head, start to stack you. Like you have to sort of defend the leg lock to be able to get up enough. And then she is so active in like rolling around and making space away from you, because she's not required to control the knee constantly. So if she's not required to control the knee, she can be so much further away from you. And suddenly you're playing this weird range game with Adele Fornarino in a way that is like, it's becoming the meta, but it's still like in the last 20 years hasn't been the meta for footlocks. And it is very, I think it's partially what leads to Adele being so successful in these kind of leg locks, is that she's pushing everything into a range that is not the meta. And you are forced to sort of chase her to get your feet back. And she has really good finishing mechanics. And that's sort of what we saw here. So
we saw it kind of takes everything that I thought I knew about the straight ankle and just ankle locks in general, just out and throw it out the window.
I know.
Oh, no knee control? Well, shit. Okay.
The last year has been humbling in watching jiu-jitsu, where you're just learning. You're like, you don't need the knee control is less important than it ever. Like that's what one of the fundamentals you learn. 10 plus years ago, 15 years ago, you're like, oh, gotta control the knee, control the foot, and then you're watching Mikey, and you're watching Jalen, and you're watching Adele, and you're watching all the contemporaries.
Rules on the fly.
Chen. And you're going, apparently you do not need the control that we were taught many years ago. You can just do it this way. And it's been really cool to watch, but we are now going to see Adele versus Cassia Moura.
Which I can't wait.
For the Flyweight Championship.
That is going to be fire.
That's going to be a phenomenal matchup. I can't wait for that one, because again, both of them have pathways to victory. I can't wait for this one. This will be a phenomenal. Whoever will be the champion here.
And you know what? They're both going to play to if Cassia comes out blazing, Adele doesn't. So right, because kind of like they're almost A game versus A game. It's gonna be interesting.
It'll be very, very. It's gonna be very interesting. It's a matchup we thought we were gonna see with the bracketing that we saw initially, but I am very excited to see Cassia Moura versus Adele Fornarino. It's a really, really good matchup for the UFC to make. So let's talk about the middleweight match between William Tackett and Fedor Nikolov. We haven't seen Fedor, or we haven't got a chance to talk about Fedor in a minute here. Fedor Nikolov, I think the most famous set of matches that he was in the heavyweight tournament, one of the last big EBI heavyweight tournaments. I think one that had Shangoli and Mason Fowler and Nick Rodriguez. I think Fedor was in. I think that's the one. The last time I remember talking about him, I could be wrong, but it was right around that era. And Fedor was like a purple belt or a brown belt. He was like, his accolades were good, and everyone was like, yeah, this is a guy to watch. And he's been very, very good. William Tackett really, I think, knew what Fedor wanted to do, and
he didn't let him get there.
Yeah, it's like Fedor wanted to get underneath, either play rubber guard or get underneath him for legs, and Tackett just sort of hit him with very traditional mid-range guard passing. And in the first round, you can kind of tell like Fedor gets to rubber guard for like 3 seconds, and Tackett just kind of bumps out, passes out. Commentary continues to explain what a rubber guard is for the next 20 seconds.
He's gone already.
And William Tackett has already passed, and you're like, okay, well, maybe you don't keep explaining something that's only happened for a couple of seconds.
Impressive guard passing, though. It was kind of
really
almost like a hot knife through butter. the step over. He kind of did the side by side, the lateral jump pass.
He hit him with a couple of
wow.
different passes, and I liked how the diversity of Williams passing here.
Yes.
He would show a flop pass, and he would show a step over pass, and he would show like a jump pass. Like, he would sort of combo them all together until Fedor's knees got to a point where like one of them was going to work.
One's going to work, exactly.
And then he's going to pass. And then Fedor would get back to guard, and Williams just pass again. It was just...
It was impressive.
The first, it was very impressive.
You typically don't see that in the first
round
round of a match. You see it maybe the second or third round when people get tired or kind of what have you. But come now, he's just passing. I'm like, holy shit.
And to figure out Fedor's timing that quickly was very, very impressive.
Very impressive.
Cool. Like, he is just... Williams is just a better passer than Fedor is able to put a guard up in front. And it's always, this level, it's always very impressive when a guy has just that level of passing acumen. You're like, man, like Fedor controls guys in the matches that we have seen him in, like controls guys in the guard. And he is an annoying guy to deal with in the guard. And for Tackett to sort of neutralize that to the level that he was able to was just very, very impressive.
I have a question though. So how soon do they have weigh-ins before the match? Because fucking Fedor looked huge. He did look really big. He looked at least 10 pounds bigger than fucking.
I have no idea.
Tackett. There's no way in the hell they both weighed the same.
I would assume it's day before. I would assume it's 24
okay.
hours with a rehydration. Like I assume they're doing it MMA style, where it's like you have a day.
He looked like he's in a different weight class.
You got 24 to 28, 29 hours, depending on Tackett at Andrew, his brother, makes championship weight day before, and then I assume, you're ranging at like 2 p.m., 4 p.m., something like that, maybe 11, depending on the day. And then you're not fighting until 10, 11 at night. You have 36 hours, 36 hours almost before you're going. So you have some time to put on. Fedor looked big.
He looked huge, dude. I'm like, who the hell? Like, what is he fighting, the Hulk? I'm like, dude, they're not the same weight class here.
Second round comes out. It's really more of the same. And then Tackett sort of just guns down for a heel hook and gets it.
Yeah.
Given any other details on the finish here, it was really that's sort of. It looked like Tackett went, okay, cool, I can pass. I know I can pass.
I mean, outside
Fedor's
heel,
not giving me a lot of stuff to work with from the
outside
passing.
heel. He was just attacking. Not much breakdown to give. Right? He would just really adamant and get into the legs. I thought it was interesting the side discrepancy that he would be shooting for the legs, but because the ratio of leg, but. Because for me, it's tough for me to handle someone with long legs, get him in a leg battle. For me. But it was interesting how he made the adjustments to actually get to the heels and pretty much just constantly attack Fedor. I was impressed. So
yeah, that was it. Again, so William Tackett takes it. Again, he's had an up and down run in the UFC.
Second one in a row, though. They mentioned it's the second win in a row, so he's figured out how to win in this promotion on this level. So
and I would like to see I would love to see Tackett get matched up again, like pop up, then go up to the next level, like right at that elite level, and then see if he can sort of maintain his footing, and then give him 2 or maybe 2 to 3 more matchups before you put him back in a title fight. But I think if he has this level of consistency, it's good. Like Fedor was a good benchmark for him.
Wagner for the title fight.
Yeah, that's rough, man. So let's
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, let's talk about in order. Let's talk about Jalen Fenacier versus Maurice Ramirez.
Simple match. 3 rounds of Jalen attacking the legs and Ramirez just defending.
Dude, the defense from Ramirez.
But it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, this is the decision for Jalen.
Yeah.
And Fenacier, or they I have no idea how to pronounce his last name now.
I think they kept saying Fenacier.
Fenacier.
Fenacier is what they kept saying.
Which could be Fenacier. Like I've heard a couple of different ways. I want to hear him say it.
Sure.
Because at this point, I'm just confused. He looked small in this matchup. This is a bantamweight, and Jalen is not a bantamweight.
No.
I think he is clearly a roosterweight 25er. But I don't think they have a lot of flyweights in there. So it's like you kind of got to give him who you can give him.
Yep.
But yeah, I was. So I don't have a ton of takeaways for this matchup. The big thing I have was I was very impressed that Jalen kind of stayed on it as long as he did and was in the driver's seat almost the entire time. Ramirez had a couple of moments here and there, but they were kind of very quickly defended by Jalen, and then he was able to get back into entries.
I would like to see him attack more than just the legs. So he was definitely going for the legs a lot, and I think he attacked his back a little bit, but I would like to see more of kind of more
diversity of offense sometimes.
Upper body things. I know in this camp it's probably leg heavy, and that's a thing with no gi. But being a gi guy is like, hey man, you're neglecting half a body. So don't forget about the top half, bro.
Ramirez's defense was very, very good.
Yeah.
Jalen was undersized, But again, Jalen composed himself very, very well. I was very happy that we didn't see something that you see a lot of times with younger prospects. It's hard to call Jalen a prospect, but I think still sort of falls in that realm.
Sure.
Didn't get tired and didn't seem to like run out of ideas.
No.
Ramirez had great defense, but was forced to have great defense the entire time. He never let Ramirez figure him out.
Ramirez was on his back foot the entire time.
Yeah, and that was nice because sometimes you'll see a guy like Ramirez, you have a third round where it's like, oh man, Ramirez figured you out now. And now the tides are turned because you're a little tired, you're younger, not quite as experienced. And then that was very much not the case. So I think it bodes very well, even though Jalen kind of is being set up to be able to get a finish here from the matchmaking. It was very nice to see him all 3 rounds, very well composed, stuck to the game plan, obviously, did very well, took a very clear unanimous decision. And again, I want to see Jalen against Harrison Gabriel.
Be interesting.
If Harrison can go back down to bantamweight. I think Harrison's now at 45 and looked good at 45. He's bulked up significantly.
He might not want to come back down.
And I think if Harrison's at 45, that matchup makes no sense because Jalen is a 25er. So like that's a dumb matchup to make. But if Harrison does come back down to 35, then it's an interesting matchup because Harrison's going to have size on him. Harrison has that win over Pato in the gi. Like there's more interesting there's some interesting matchups to make for Financier at 35 that there are not at 25, or you just got to bring in more people. You got to bring the rest of the roosterweight division essentially.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
At 25.
Show him the money. But I will say it was nice to see. They said he has 3 of the top fastest finishes in UFC BJJ history.
I think that he's the fastest one. I know that. I think he does have a.
3 of the top 4. So it was kind of interesting. It kind of adds to the intrigue a little bit to see him go a full 3 rounds, which is good.
You get to see him do some stuff, which was nice. Yeah,
see him he wasn't like it was still one-way traffic, but it was nice to see him work a complete 3 rounds. To kind of see it. You didn't see all of his game, but you saw enough of his game to kind of go, okay, yeah, he's that. He's
a handful to deal with in all 3 rounds.
He's that dude. Yeah.
So let's talk about middleweight bout: Wagner Hosha and Andy Varela. Man. This is, again, so you saw it. You've seen the GIFs online. Wagner hit him with a rape choke. We are now calling it a crescent choke, which I like. My wife and I are calling it a croissant choke because that's funny. But I do not recall the last time I have seen a high-level matchup like this end in crescent choke. It's just not something you see. And it sort of, unfortunately, kind of thing speaks to where kind of Andy Varela is at, where Andy Varela's game works very, very well when he can get in your head and he can bully you. Yeah. If he can bully you, he can beat you. And we've seen it a couple of times now with like Tackett and with Wagner and with
Murasaki.
If he can't bully you, you see Varela kind of like almost
run out of ideas.
Run out of ideas, and then almost run out of gas, where he sort of almost gets overwhelmed. And he starts to get very, very defensive and very, very rigid. And then I think that he probably is not very used to not being able to bully guys and push guys around. And so it seems to throw him off his game significantly. So first round, it was fun. Second round,
first round was kind of almost even. I think Varela might have edged him out a little bit.
Yeah, well, and Wagner in the post fight talks about it. He
goes,
like, "Man, I'm old."
He's like an old car, man. He takes a minute to get warmed up.
I cannot. I don't come out fast in the first round. He goes, I think he says like the 24-hour car. Like, if you give me time, I can go a long time.
Yeah.
He goes, but I'm not going to come out fast.
Don't put him in a quarter mile.
Yeah. And I think also, like, Wagner knowing that about himself and his game is very, very helpful because it's like, also, they talk about credit to Jasmine Hosha. Yes. His daughter in the corner was like, he's like, hey, you lost that round. Like that, let her dad know, like, hey, you didn't do enough in that round. You didn't win that round, probably. He probably beat you there. And then Wagner comes out like he's a little warm now. He's fresh. He knows what Varela brings to the table. Both him and Varela, it's a matchup where both guys are happy to, like, make it physical, which I thought was very funny. And then
the point where he grabbed Varela's hands and he just punched him in his own face.
At one point, Wagner punches Varela in the face with Varela's own hand. Like, anywhere else, I'd be like, you're a dick. But for these two guys, even Andy posted on it, like, and it seemed to be, Andy's post seemed to be almost like in good fun about it. Because, like, that, truthfully, it's like a lot of guys aren't down for that kind of match. And I'm totally fine with that. That's not the sport that we do. And I don't like when one guy is not trying to make the match super physical and one guy is. It's like, hey, man, that's just not what we're like. Varela leg kicks Wagner at one point in this match, and the ref was like, no leg kicks. Like, I don't appreciate it when it's not equal. But in this match, it was like Wagner does not care.
Yep.
Andy does not care. Like, they are both happy to have that kind of match. I'm fine with it. But I don't like when it's like, hey, man, you're working outside of the scope of the rules here in what you're doing. And the other guy
it's thrown off the fight, and it really
it's like the other guy's not doing that. So it's like but with Wagner and Varela, like they matched, and it's like cool, like make it as dirty as you want to make it, guys, because you're both totally down for this style of matchup. It was unfortunate to see the eye poke that Wagner hit Andy with early. I did think that kind of threw Varela off a little bit, unfortunately, and I'm like, I'm wondering if that played a factor, but. Dog, the second round comes in, Wagner, like, you see Wagner hits the gear.
He pretty much just mauls Varela for like 4 minutes in the second round.
And then the third round comes in, I was like, okay, Varela's historically, like, probably kind of done here.
But
and he was not.
No, he was not.
And he throws up that, like, it was sort of like, the commentary were like, oh, it's really close. And I was like, I don't think it's that close. Wagner's having to defend it, but
it wasn't close.
Wagner is on the front end of this defense, and you could see that the way Wagner was like fighting the hands, and the way that Wagner was turning his hips out was like Wagner a lot of times was taking and letting Varela come over top to try to pop out and get underneath, where it was like Andy was trying to control Wagner, but Wagner was, you could see that Wagner was the one dictating where the position was changing. And Andy had a very good bite on the head and the neck, but was not in control of like where he needed to finish. Like he would have had to track where Wagner was moving and catch Wagner to get the finish. Whereas Wagner was watching what Andy was doing.
I think Wagner had his hand out there early on to prevent him from rolling. And
Wagner was just ahead of the jump, and that was one of the things. I wish we had more experienced commentary with.
And I couldn't see Varela's hands to really see what he had going, but
right.
Yeah, the commentators didn't add much to that at all.
Wagner gets out, and then
immediately it's like he pissed Wagner off.
That's kind of what it looked like, and Wagner was like,
he's like, fuck this,
not gonna, because again, Wagner's down the first round. He wins the second round clearly, and the third round, it's like, okay, now Wagner's losing the third round. I think that fire, and Wagner gets on top. Wagner passes easily to
jumps over guard.
Just jumps over him,
yeah,
and then just crescent chokes him. Again, it is the technical way to do it. You palm behind the head, you lean in, you pressure it, and it's like, and then you lean over, and you have to basically lean over top to put enough pressure in the neck to get it. Like, it's not a common choke, generally speaking, because it's like in the room, it'll change the vibe.
Oh yeah, you don't really want to do that to your friends.
Yeah, man, it's just like I did it to one of our guys like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, because he's a young guy, he's a competitor, and I was like, it's probably a choke he had never seen. He's a newer blue belt, and I was like, I bet he's never seen this choke. I was like, I'm gonna do it to him.
He saw it that night,
and it was just very funny to have done this to him, and then immediately, like, I don't remember ever on the show us ever talking about a crescent choke finish, ever in a high level match, and so it's just very funny the timing of like doing this. Like, 'cause again, with like me and Weinstock, it's a choke we throw around like not infrequently when we're training. But again, it's a choke that I will like. There's almost no one else in the room, unless you are like a very, very frequent competitor. Is the only kind of guys I'll like. You and I just. I'm not gonna throw that on you.
Yeah.
Like really frequent competitors, I will. And so it's very funny to see Wagner like technically work this choke and give credit to like the guys before him, and like also throw a little shade at all the guys inventing new stuff. He's like, I didn't invent it. Someone invented it. I got it from this guy who probably got it from someone else, and it was like it was paying homage to the lineage of certain techniques. And I thought it was a very fun kind of post fight interview. I also liked. Do you have the call outs or no?
Oh yeah, I do have call outs. Well, first before I even get to that, I think I really appreciated it. I think Wagner's a really good guy. He gave appreciation to UFC. Well, I mean, from what I know, he seemed like a really nice guy. Gave props to UFC. He admitted he only had 3 weeks to get prepared for that Tackett fight, and he admitted that he didn't even train for that 3 weeks. He had to drop from 205 down to 170. So he said he admitted he didn't even train for that.
You're just trying to get the weight off.
He just trying to get that weight off, which was very impressive. But to get to the call outs, he called out Ronaldo, he called out Jonnatas and William, and actually he didn't really call him out specifically. He said, "Look, I've beaten everybody." But I think that was his pretty much way of saying, "Hey, I'm going to call out Ronaldo because
I like
he wants that belt.
Ronaldo's the champion, and he's beating Ronaldo, and I think like it was close, but I also don't hate any of those call-outs. Right, but that's also, again, now I have 3 guys that Wagner called out, and he's like, I beat him. Like, they're ranked higher than me. I can beat him again.
Yeah.
I do like that as a call-out because, like, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, okay, put Wagner. Like, Wagner can't beat Tackett. He did better than anyone else has done.
Yeah.
But he, like, most likely can't beat Tackett.
Yeah, if they had a rematch, I don't think it would be as close. I think Tackett might make some adjustments there.
Yeah.
But I will say Tackett did. I don't know, someone in one of the interviews, he admitted it took him a month and a half to rest after that fight to recover.
Wagner's a dog.
So that was kind of like,
Again, there's a reason why my wife's favorite guy to watch is Wagner.
Yeah.
Like, universally, since she's been watching professional grappling, it's like Wagner is her favorite guy to watch. And it's like, whenever Wagner's fights are on, we always put it on, like, hey, I'm watching grappling. Wagner's on. She's like, okay, we'll watch Wagner.
But I will say, I just said that I think Tackett would beat him a second time. That being said, though,
If he's lower and gets the weight down, like,
Wagner is a dog, and you give him a full camp. He might actually.
It's more interesting than I would like it to be for a guy at Wagner's age to be, like, still in contention. Still us going like, well, maybe actually.
I wouldn't be upset in seeing that rematch, man. You give him a full camp.
I wouldn't either. But I think you got to give him more time to get the weight down. I do think I would much rather see Wagner at this point in his career at middleweight.
But I did see some moments in here in this fight in which, like, he shot that first shot, second round. He looked a little slow making that shot.
Yeah, man. He's mid-40s and has
So
a
it's
heart
like,
condition.
So that being said, it's like, you know how fast Tackett is and how much of a gas tank. So that would work against him. But even if he had time for a full camp, that might work against him.
Yeah.
But it'd still be interesting.
Yeah, they're
interesting.
all interesting matchups. Again, I want to see Wagner take on Ronaldo. I think that's a matchup that now with the
That's
win over
a must
Varela
see.
here
Yeah.
makes the most sense. He has a very good showing, better than anyone's had against the welterweight champion. Like, give him, either give him William again, and then the winner of that gets Ronaldo, gets the rematch, or give him Ronaldo. I think, like, any of those matchups, you're finally having enough guys in the division at middleweight to make some compelling matchups.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you're doing.
What about Murasaki?
I don't think Murasaki's a middleweight, is he? Is he that big?
Murasaki beat Varela, so I don't know if Murasaki came down.
Varela's usually a 70-year. Depends on who it is, but there are interesting matchups for Wagner as long as Wagner wants to compete.
Yeah.
And I will watch every single match ever because he's just an interesting guy to watch.
He's my
compete,
people, man. He's my people.
He's your, yeah.
170, baby.
Moving on to women's strawweight, the opener for the card, Danielle Kelly versus Anna Lima. The commentary staff would not bring up any of Danielle Kelly's one championship victories or title events. So that was very funny. It was almost like diminishing of
who she was.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like they brought down Kelly. It was like, she's really good. She's this, she's that. And it was like, yeah, but she was in one for years as the champion of one. And it was like, so they like didn't bring up any of that. And it was very, very weird because it made her come off
Like a newbie.
Really. Yeah, in a weird way that I went like, I don't
give her
like
props.
at least give her like she's been champion of other big organizations. Like just give me something because it was weird to talk about Danielle Kelly without bringing up like how long-standing of a championship, and then having that close match with Maisa Bastos in one, and that was the only reason she lost the belt in the first place. It was weird, and it was just like I didn't like it.
A little bit of a disservice.
It felt weird because it's like she's a championship level grappler at the opening of the card coming over. And she didn't get talked about like that. No. She got talked about like a prospect coming in that was really good. Yeah. But like it was just they talked about her in a weird way that I really didn't like. This was very close. She went back and forth with Anna Lima. She does get the nod. I think she wins 2 out of the 3 rounds. Corey, what was your kind of thoughts on this one?
First round, I actually get that first round to Lima. I think Lima had the advantage, but at that second and third round, I think you can just see maybe Danielle needed a round to warm up. But that second and third round, I think in my mind was clearly her.
Yeah, same thing. I did it 1 and 2.
It was more just her attacking from the top and Lima from the bottom. So it was kind of it was a back and forth, and Lima had her at times when she did pose up in an attack from the bottom, but I think it was just too much Kelly from the top.
Yeah, she was. I think Kelly was just more active, and she was honestly. It was a close enough matchup when you have Kelly on top, being active on top. Yeah. Given the audience, given the rule set, it made sense to give her the nod, and I was like, okay, like that. I understand the scoring. This makes sense. It was very close, but yeah, Danielle Kelly in this rule set, I think it was a very, very fine, it was close, but it was a very good. I think I would have given this to Danielle Kelly, and so it was a fine unanimous decision.
It was kind of Kelly attacking, Lima defending, and then you see sometimes with Lima attack from time to time. But I think Kelly just had that many more attacks from top.
She had more attacks, and I think she had a couple of like, not necessarily the better attacks, but the volume was there, and they were deep enough where you saw you saw defense from Lima, both positional defense and active defense, and I was like, okay, yep, that's very reasonable to give that to Danielle Kelly. Again, women's strawweight, I don't know who else on the roster they have at women's strawweight, but I hope that they start to fill out the division so that we can see Danielle Kelly compete more frequently. Yeah. If you've brought her in, you know she's good. You know, give her some, put people for Anna Lima and Danielle Kelly to face. Again, I want to see UFC BJJ cards every other week, man. Yeah, like give me the consistency. This sucks now because we have essentially a month between now and the next UFC BJJ card, which is still a better pace than most organizations keep. But if you want to take over the professional grappling space, you got to get it out there more frequently. Having a card every 2 to 3 weeks is really the only way that you can do that, because guys are just going to be really hesitant to only be fighting 3 to 4 times a year in professional grappling, unless they are like elite level guys like Mikey or Andrew, where it's like you're paying them championship pay and they have access to those resources. They only need to fight a couple of times a year. Sure. For your other guys that are coming up, like again, like a guy where Fedor is. Fedor Nikolov. Like, that's a guy, if he's on contract, I doubt he's on a recurring contract, but, like, he needs to be competing, multiple time, 10+ times a year to be able to get the level of experience that he needs to be able to go and be a world contender if he can go and do that. Like, if you were Tackett and you're young, like William, and you're only, competing 3 times a year, like you're just never going to get the competitive experience that you need to go and be a long-standing champion. Sure. And so that's my concern, is that there's not enough cards to act as the feeder that the UFC BJJ, I think, likes to be. Yeah. And so you're only cherry picking talent in, and then it's really hard to run a roster like that as well. It creates its own set of different problems. Agreed. But that's it. So that is UFC BJJ 10. Corey, any kind of other closing thoughts we didn't run through before we get out of here?
No, I think it was a very entertaining night of fights. I do like it that it's on a Thursday because it doesn't really conflict with too much anything else. I think so. They got the night ready, the night correct. Excuse me.
Thursday's great.
Thursday's great. They got the time of the match down. What, 2.5 hours, something like that.
2.5 or
it's like perfect.
Even 3 is fine, but like 2.5, man. I love 2.5 hour grappling cards.
And there's not a lot of filler in there. Even before the match, they got some relevant videos, and it's a really good build up.
The product feels good. They don't have the viewership that they need to make it sustainable, but the product feels good. Like I don't feel like my time is being disrespected watching a UFC BJJ card.
Yeah, because time is money for them. Time is money, and time for me is probably more important than that. It's like my time is very important.
Well, I watched RAF last night, Real American Freestyle, and dude, I would love the UFC to take like that route, where it's like, hey man, don't stop putting it in the Apex. Go somewhere, put it in a stadium, put it in like a small arena, like put it in a small arena, and like get some crowd, get some atmosphere, because the atmosphere, I think, really suffers for the events. They had more people in the crowds than they usually do.
They had at a different venue this time, and it
was the Meta Apex whatever.
Yeah.
But again, it was still felt like a small venue.
Yeah, it does still.
RAF feels like a real professional wrestling card.
You could probably actually fill up a pretty decent sized stadium if you actually.
That's what I think. It looks a little like, it still looks like it's being held in the Apex, which I don't like optics. But that's one thing I would like to see. Better than that, again, the card was entertaining. It sucks they didn't get the viewership that I think they're going to need, but the matches are good. Sometimes a little one-sided, but they're interesting. The format's pretty good. Commentary needs some work, but overall, man, like if they have events frequently, it's sort of what we've been looking for years, where it's like your guys and your grapplers are on a roster getting paid. That's what we hoped for.
So now just a case of getting the grapplers on board and getting them paid. We need more bodies. We need more bodies. Let's start building these just ranking systems and these feeder fights. Let's go.
So, Corey, anything else you got?
No, man.
All right.
Nope.
Well, as always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, and the co-host,
Corey.
And we are the Grappling Rewind. See them how it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google Plus.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.